Okay, I'd say we're about at time, so we'll start our run through of the day. So these are some of our course slides up there. I'm John Treat. I am the Director of Interdisciplinary and Curricular Learning at the Honors College, which means I help Dean Coon come up with and plan these crazy interdisciplinary courses we offer each semester. And our guest of honor today is Dean Lynda Coon, Professor of History, Dean of the Honors College, and the person who came up with the idea that the Honors College was the place on campus where interdisciplinarity most naturally lived, and that we should be offering courses that brought together faculty experts with students from diverse majors to tackle a wide range of subjects. So today, we're going to talk about the difference between Honors College and Honors Program courses. That's always a little bit of confusion. We'll give a quick overview of that. We're going to go over the Spring 22 lineup, and we've got time for questions. And I see I'm missing a space there. All right. It's unclear a lot of times, is this my honors program or is this the Honors College? Who provides what service? Who do I go to for advising? All those kinds of things. This also comes up in our classes because your honors program in your college, in your department offers honors courses, and then the Honors College offers courses with an HNRC prefix. So, a quick overview. You're dual citizens. You belong to Walton or to Fulbright or Bumpers, and you're also a member of the Honors College. So, just quickly as a refresher, every college has an honors program. Your honors program covers the majors in your home college. They are the experts on biology and supply chain and electrical engineering. These are the people who do your primary course advising. These are the people, and this is one people get confused on, who supervise your thesis. It is your department that sets the criteria for your thesis. They also provide some scholarships, grants, and other benefits. The Honors College coordinates all honors at the U of A. We are the ones who give out millions in scholarship, research, and study abroad grants, and also internship funding now, a very good opportunity to get on. And we provide specialized mentoring and trajectory planning in what we call the GREAT framework through our Futures Hub. So global experiences, research, engagement, academics, trajectory, meaning life after college. We provide specialized mentoring for what we like to call the hothouse flower problems of honors student of, I'm a chemical engineering and studio art major, and I am looking for a study abroad for a semester that will work for me. We're the people you see for that kind of crazy stuff. But we also offer interdisciplinary courses that bring together students from across the U of A. When we have a class, we want to pull you out of that silo you easily fall into after your second year of just being with all of the same English majors all the time, and get you around a table with people from a lot of different majors, but also a lot of different colleges to tackle problems together and bring the knowledge from your discipline to the big questions of the day. So how are these courses in an honors program and an honors college different? Honors programs, courses may just be special courses in your college or major that you'll know by the H at the end. This could be just an honors version of World Civ or World Lit. Each college has major, each major has different configurations and different requirements. And so they're range from smaller sections of regular courses like Honors Civ, like I was mentioning, to special colloquia like the economics of life. Or if you're in Fulbright, you have 3-hour colloquia you need to fulfill in natural science, social science, and I'm forgetting the third one, Dean Coon.
Humanities, fine arts.
Humanities, I'm forgetting my own area. Humanities and fine arts. So here's a sample of an honors course that was up in history this semester, the history of race in medicine, a very timely course taught by Professor Starks. So that's through Fulbright Honors in the history department. Here's an interesting one, English 1213. If you're interested in pre-med, here is the general literature course taught as a literature and medicine course to let you focus on medicine and literature and history. Honors college courses are different. They come in 5 types, and we're going to run through all the types of signature, seminars, passport forum, retro reading, trajectory, etc. And then we're going to give the courses that are being offered in each of these types this semester. Dean Coon will kind of introduce the course types, and we'll trade off talking about classes. So first, we have our signature seminars, our hallmark courses. How would you describe these, Dean Coon?
These were born out of the idea of faculty that were in the process of about to give birth to either a book or a big grant or anything that's nationally and internationally significant. And we invite faculty from all 6 undergraduate colleges to partner with about 15 honor students sitting around a table, teaching their field, but in a way that appeals to multiple disciplines. So take cancer, one of our early signature seminars. It was taught by a professor of biomedical engineering, but he did the ethics of cancer treatment. He did racial and social disparities in cancer treatment. So he did a whole broad perspective. So it appealed to many majors. It's more research intense, and it partners honor students with top research faculty.
And this semester, we have 2 very special offerings in this area. Oh, I'll take number 1. Economic Thought and Competition Law is a special opportunity because this is taught by a member of the law faculty. Undergraduate students don't get to study with law professors that often. And so Sharon Foster, who has a JD, but also holds a PhD from the University of Edinburgh, is going to be talking about what is commonly in the US called antitrust law, or it's laws on trade restrictions. And this is going to be a tremendous historical sampling from Sumerian grain laws 5,000 years ago on up to the passage of the Sherman Antitrust Act and the beginning of modern regulation of corporations in the US. This will be a fantastic overview of how different societies have dealt with the question of monopolies and when are they appropriate and who they should benefit. And Professor Foster is a very erudite person who's going to also bring a wry sense of humor to the class. I'll give you Euclid, Dean Coon.
Okay, Euclid takes honor students from multiple disciplines into a history of mathematical thought from the ancient Greek world up to the present day, really, and does so through the media of the visualization of mathematics and the history of the book. And our library has a fine collection of rare books of Euclid, and students will actually get to work, like in the field of paleography, they're actually going to get to work with these rare material testimonies to Euclid, taught by Edmund Harris, professor of mathematics and a geometrical artist, and Joshua Youngblood, who is a historian of the book. It's going to be fantastic, and it takes us into Euclid's influence over design to this day. You can kind of see that from this book here with its heavy visualization of mathematics, but also to the history of who read Euclid, a very white male upper class coterie until fairly recently in Western history. So super hip class, crazy like we like.
And crazy is our middle name.
Indeed.
So that brings us on to Honors College forums. Why should I take a forum, Dean Coon?
Well, for one thing, it's only 1 credit of honors. So you can dip your toe into things that you might not normally have room for, but you were interested in, but you couldn't pursue because of other majors. This opens up a whole new area of study to people who aren't necessarily majoring in these things. And forums tackle much more contemporary topics, such as Honors College Forum vaccine or pandemic, or tracking Trump and Hillary. These were very pressing, recent things that students were interested in. Opioids, the opioid crisis, well, you get the idea, blockchain, things that you're swirling about in our contemporary world that we moor down to the Honors College for an hour of credit. And you people a table with colleagues from multiple disciplines and colleges, and you just grapple with really tough stuff like the 14th Amendment.
These end up being some of our most popular classes. And as Dean Coon said, it's one credit. You take 5 3-hour classes, you're always looking for that 16th hour to balance out. These are a great way to go about it. So up first on the list is Educating Latinx Students. And this more appropriately, the full title is Educating Latinx Students in the South. This is taught by Juan Jose Bustamante of the Sociology Department, someone who is a rock star teacher and has a large following among students. And this is going to look at how in the South, previously the nation's most racially, ethnically homogeneous region, has responded to rapid diversification and how school districts have needed to meet the challenge of educating students from a new culture with new language expectations, and where that has been successful and where there have been difficulties and what we see in the future. And once again, so this is taught by a sociology professor, not an ed professor, and someone who has a fantastic reputation among his students about an issue that is of incredible importance, particularly in Northwest Arkansas, where we have one of the fastest growing Latinx populations in the US. Want to take gene editing, Coon, or shall I?
Sure, I'm happy to. Gene editing is taught by an Honors College alumnus, Professor of Biomedical Engineering, Christopher Nelson, who is a researcher. He works in the field of gene editing and the equipment. He actually, biomedical engineers build the equipment for research. And he works with honor students in a CRISPR gene editing lab. So this is high-end stuff, but it's not just for STEM majors or for engineers. Again, he's going to do a heavy look at the ethical concerns swirling around the science of gene editing. And he's fabulous, basically. We're lucky to have him in the College of Engineering.
Next up is a late entry that only started germinating 2 weeks ago, called Out of Office, and this is going to be taught by Matt Waller, Dean of the Walton College of Business and a nationally recognized expert on supply chain management. And he's going to be joined by Phil Libben, who is the founder of 3 major tech companies in Silicon Valley, who is a billionaire tech investor who has recently uprooted and moved to Northwest Arkansas after he and his wife fell in love with the region. And what they're going to be talking about is the future of what they say is distributed work. Usually since the pandemic, as more people have worked at home, we've used the term remote work. They say, no, that implies that people are together in some place getting things done and you're off isolated from them. They say, no, this model is about work being distributed into many areas and many work styles and types. This will look at what is the future of work going to be after the pandemic and how are people going to stay in the workforce and how are they going to participate in the workforce. And all of the questions this raises for corporations about setting policy, about HR, about compensation, and general expectations for their workers. This is a fantastic opportunity to study with one of our most noted faculty members at the U of A and someone with exceptional hands-on experience in starting 3 companies. Can't say enough good things about this course. And again, it's not for business majors. Every industry will face this. Think about schools and how adaptable they've had to be, whether it's secondary schools or universities like our own, where I wouldn't be able to do this Zoom presentation without the pandemic. So definitely think about this one. Why do I want to read old books?
Yes, we do retro readings where I guess you could call this great books, classic texts, where very small, usually 12 students sitting around a table grapple with major works of the canon, if we're allowed to say canon nowadays. I mean, obviously Tolkien, very popular. We'll probably trot that out again. We've done Darwin. I'm doing the Bible this spring. Supreme Court is going on right now. Dr. Treat has taught Secrets, which is on esotericism. Super hip. So you get the idea. Harry Potter is being taught right now. 1 hour of honors credit, an intellectual reading circle. So those are a lot of fun, actually. And you'll meet students and other majors in colleges who you would never see otherwise. So we've seen entire friendships form long lasting out of these classes.
And you can go again because you're the best qualified to talk about Bible.
Yes, I taught this before. It was great. So I decided to do it again. This is a super intensive, I won't say great books, I'll say old school textual analysis class, where we read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, but we do so through very, very intense topics. I'm very excited about it. We will be doing Hebrew scripture. I have a guest lecture coming in for the Psalms. That's going to be really crazy. We will grapple with all the Gospels. I have particular fondness for the book of Ezekiel and Revelation. But then in the final third of the class, we will also look at how the Bible is deployed, both for good and evil, in a series of historical regimes.
Don't miss it. This was an incredibly popular class the first time it was taught.
And they were such good students. They're going to come back and teach one of the classes, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's a great group.
Yep.
And so the retro reading I'm teaching this semester is called Fraternity. And this is not just about college fraternities and sororities, though we will talk about where they come from. But this is a look at secret societies in American history and all of the different roles they have played. From the way early labor unions were operated as secret fraternal organizations to protect their members, to nefarious groups like the Ku Klux Klan, to the fraternal groups that you've all heard of, like the Elks and the Masons, and what role they have played in civil society, on up through college fraternities. And we'll look particularly at how these groups have been key places where we've had discussions about who can be a good citizen in the US and what does that mean as these groups created spaces for civil conversation. And we'll also read weird, freaky texts about how you are initiated and what a mechanical goat has to do with being a fraternity member. It should be a lot of fun, but it's a very serious topic, much more serious than it sounds on the surface.
I agree with that.
Do you want to take Dean Pitt or shall I?
You go right ahead.
All right. One of our star teachers for HNRC classes is our own Associate Dean for Enrollment, Noah Pittman, who holds a PhD in public policy from the University of Arkansas and a BA in politics, summa cum laude from Rhodes College. He is a political junkie, a political animal. And he is offering for the second time his course, Presidential Speeches. Presidential Speeches looks at the historical rhetoric of the presidency and how the bully pulpit has been used to shape public opinion and shape public policy. So think about Teddy Roosevelt and his speeches to the press. Think about Franklin Roosevelt and his use of the fireside chats to get America behind the New Deal. We see Jack Kennedy standing there, but we go all the way back to Washington in his second inaugural address and farewell address, I believe covered in this class, and the Gettysburg Address, on up through the March of the Present. This is a great class in American rhetoric and American persuasion taught by one of our very most popular teachers. Not that I'm going to say that to him in person and make his head get big. I'll take this one. We have a new grouping of courses this semester. We used to have a group that was called Professional Development. Now we have regrouped and rethought, as our curriculum department is fairly new still, into a group of what we call Trajectory. And these are two kinds of classes. Some are nuts and bolts. Catapult with Vice Provost Suzanne McRae teaches you how to apply for the Truman Scholarship, how to be ready for a top graduate school. Med school, law school, grad school all teach you about how to think about, is that for me? And how do I get into these schools? But we've combined them with other courses that help raise your sights and think beyond maybe the 10 majors you knew about or 10 careers in high school. So we have courses like Innovators, where you meet with small business, with startup leaders, Inspired, where you learn about the creative process, and a whole growing list of courses that help you think in a bigger way about your career and possibilities. So we have several of these this semester, and they're particularly good for building your resume and thinking about your future. Catapult is one of our quintessential courses. It's offered every semester by Dean Suzanne McRae, whom you see in the photo on the right. She's the Senior Vice Provost for Enrollment, but she is the world authority on the Truman Scholarship. We produce more Truman Scholars, which is a public service fellowship for undergraduates to help fund their graduate careers. We produce as many as any school in the nation. We do better than Harvard and Yale. Suzanne is the reason why. If you think you are looking for a competitive award, whether it's the Rhodes or a Fulbright or a Goldwater in science, this is a great class to prepare you, and it will leave you with a set of materials that will put you well on your way to applying for a competitive graduate school. I highly, highly recommend this course if you think you've got big plans ahead of you. Can we do Innovators? I'll give you Inspired.
Sure.
I do a guest lecture in this one every semester. Innovators is a chance for you as an undergraduate student to meet people from the startup community in Northwest Arkansas and people who are making differences in a variety of ways by making innovations, inventions that change the way we work, that change the way we approach an everyday process. It is taught by Carl Schubert of engineering, who is the head of the data science program, but in his previous life, he is a PhD in engineering and was a senior executive at Dell Computers when it was taking off. He was there defining what the laptop would look like in America and how it would be used, and is co-taught by Alan Elstrand, who is the associate dean of the Walton School of Business. So two top people who leverage their connections to bring innovators into you, and also one tired old historian to talk about how religion was a disruptive force in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Got to plug my own little lecture in there. This is coordinated by Dr. Louise Hancox, who is a historian as a PhD, but previously was an MBA supply chain consultant. So three fantastic people talking to you about innovation, focusing on the business sector, but getting a little out there too. Here's your baby, Dean Coon.
Yes, so in the spring semester for the first 8 weeks, I'm bringing in the senior director of the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, Sandy Edwards, who will sit at a table with 12 really ambitious and fearless honor scholars. And we will be meeting at Theater Squared in the boardroom there. And we will tackle the creative process from a variety of disciplines: music, acting, art, entrepreneurship, architecture. It's a really crazy, fabulous course. Again, 1 hour of honors credit, and students do beautifully in this. And Sandy Edwards is so keen to teach because she enjoys our honor students so much. So I highly recommend Inspired, and I will be sitting in. I'm kind of the TA for that.
There you go. The dean, a full professor, plays TA.
Why not? I was a good TA.
It's good to be the dean, but it's better to be a TA.
Yes.
I love being a TA. We have a new offering this semester. We have previously offered med school and grad school. Now we have a new course called law school. This course has two parts. Half of it is just saying, is law school for you? Would you really rather get a master's in public administration or a master's in public policy? Is there some better way to your career path? Or are you genuinely interested in the study and practice of the law? The second half of this course will look at how you do the nuts and bolts of getting into law school, advice on preparing for the LSAT, on writing your personal statement, on gathering your references and a writing sample, and all of those things. It's taught by two fantastic teachers, Andrew Dowdle, professor of political science, and also director of the pre-law program in Fulbright College and director of the legal studies minor. So someone who's very knowledgeable, stays up compulsively on material in the field. And Dr. Louise Hancox, whom I just mentioned, who is the director of trajectory, career trajectory at the Honors College and the Futures Hub, who has in the last couple of years really gotten on top of and mastered the mechanics of getting into schools, but also in helping you get clarity about where you're going and what you want to be doing. So if you're thinking about law school, even as a possibility, this is a very good course for you.
Then I guess its twin is med school. And that's taught by the pre-bolt director of pre-med studies and our own pre-health professions director, Monica Moore. We usually let in about 20 students, and it's very similar to the law school. What really is med school? What is med school right for me? Which med school? Also, we partner honor students with our current alumni, now our recent graduates who are now in med school. In fact, we just placed one student at the University of Chicago Med School. But we also bring in doctors and professors from UAMS, and they will connect with the students in pretty brilliant ways. Super successful. Get your, they have to apply for that one, I believe, because it's super popular. Yeah. And offered every spring.
And finally, we have another category of classes that Dean Coon invented that have been super popular since their inception. Take it away, boss.
Oh, honors passport. And a lot of honors colleges across the country have their own study abroad. So we thought, well, hey, we should too. But ours is better. It's called Honors Passport. It takes place in the intersession. We've done some in January intersession, some in May, and I'm actually thinking about broadening it out to August. 3 hours of honors credit. Bringing together students who apply from multiple disciplines and colleges with top faculty, in this case, Sicily, where I had an archaeologist who worked on ancient Rome, a professor of classical Greek, and an international studies professor. Took 18 super amazing students in January to Sicily on a romp from the ancient world all the way up to the modern Arab towns in Sicily. Were a testimony to the complicated historical layers that make up the history of Sicily. Fabulous, fabulous. Our next passport is this May, hopefully, and it will be in Japan. My colleague in architectural history, partnering with my colleague who does the history of modern Japan, will be taking about 16 students, I figure, to explore the early modern and modern history of Japan. And this will include visiting a medieval Buddhist monastery, going to very famous sites in Kyoko, going to the Peace Museum in Hiroshima, and even going out to an island that's fully dedicated to art museums. And you're given a bicycle and you ride from museum to museum. I personally think that sounds fabulous, that in the medieval monastery. It's going to be a kind of transformational, it's one of a lifetime trip, if you want my humble opinion. We're sending a professional photographer who is Japanese. We'll have Japanese guides on the ground, but we're also with a pro who's lived and worked with Japan for years. So don't miss out on that one.
Okay, that wraps up where we are for today, and we've got time for questions. But I wanted to say that at the end of the slides, and I'm about to give you a link to the slides so that you can see everything that was here. If you need anything, contact me. All of my information is going to be in the slide set I'm about to link to, and I will put in my email address as well. Do we have any questions?